And then I also, I want to touch upon this. Pay parity is like, talking like, price of chicken per kg. How can you achieve pay parity? It's like, in IPL telling for fast bowlers, itna hi dega. So you're coming from KKR to MI, 30% hike. You're playing for IPL for the first time. You're coming from Australia, starting price is 20 lakhs. We'll not give you more. So that itself is a very communist angle to this thing. The entire services industry, especially, I believe it's a very, talks about capitalism, but there is a very very communist driven thing agenda that services industries have. Where the wealth is still concentrated at the top, not like traditional services firms like McKinsey, Booz, or anybody where there is a partner model. Services firms, the wealth is concentrated at the top. That is the only reason why Indian services companies get funding. No other services companies get funding. The partners put in the money. Indian services companies are the only models where it is investable because they know that there is no IP, and you can acquire this company, and you will also get to walk away with a little bit of wealth where somebody else does the slogging. So I believe, employer branding is a very fluid term, and the whole employee experience, right from a TA person reaching out to the exit formalities, and when the person puts in the puts in the paper and wants to leave the company, that 90 days is the worst experience period of an employee.
So, I have, I definitely have to say this that I think people are discerning enough. So, like this small company that gave an example of, the fact that it had almost 100% repeat applications, they don't advertise anywhere. In fact, I really had to Google them up and figure out what they do when I got that contract from them to work on this. So a lot of people recognize these small interactions, and they talk about it. They talk about it. Some go to the extent of sharing it in their social network, some go to the extent of talking about it. And the y- incoming generation is not, they take to social media for everything. So they will not tell their friends, but they will put it up on Instagram and on X and on God knows Snapchat and God whatever other platforms are, that I went to XYZ company, I had an interview with so and so person. What a terrible experience I had. This is how they behaved. This is how they negotiated. Now, all of that starts to pick momentum on the employer brand. So certain companies, so it's really about what are you advertising and what are you selling. So people start figuring that difference out. So of course, when we're talking about employer brand, we're not talking about the marketing, the glitz and glamour of it. Saying how are you in the everyday interaction, and are you being authentic in your brand communication. So if you're going to go out and say five things, but not one is true, then nobody is going to, believe you and buy your product. Just like any product, this is also something that you're selling there, right? So,
Yeah. No, no, absolutely. Reminds me of an old joke in terms of talent acquisition, recruitment, right? So, like, uh, um, the a guy died and went up and met the devil, and the
Went
devil's
up to meet the devil.
whatever met the
Oh,
devil.
okay.
Okay, went up, down is a different matter
Oh,
actually.
okay.
Went and met the devil, and devil said, "Hey, come see how hell looks like. It looks wonderful actually, and all of that stuff."
I
And he
know this one.
goes, the story.
I know this
You
one.
see, people are. He goes in and he says people are having a great time, wonderful parties. Just having the time of their lives actually. And then God says that, hey, come and see how heaven is actually, right? So, and then he says that people are just sitting around and just relaxing, not doing much, generally peaceful, right? So he says, I want to go to the place which is, the party place. So he says, hey, I'm going to hell. So he goes to hell. So the next day when he goes to hell, he sees, fires burning, dead bodies, the real hell actually. So he asks the devil, hey, yesterday there was a party happening here. What happened? He said, yesterday I was recruiting. Today you are today
I know this one.
today you're part of the organization.
It's an old joke that never gets old. To be very
I know.
Yeah.
So true that. So indirectly, if I have to synthesize what you said, companies that make a lot of noise on social media are actually struggling to attract talent, so they make the noise. The companies with great cultures, generally with word of mouth or with repeat applicants, are themselves contained.
The best place, in fact, my previous organization where I worked, we didn't have a for managers and above, we didn't have any referral bonuses. And the concept was very simple, that you will refer someone for a role if you genuinely believe that the company is great and that person is a good fit. Otherwise, we don't want to perpetuate the practice of saying, oh, I referred and, 3 months I make some money and, and after 3 months or 4 months, I tell that person, yeah, you leave after 4 months. This is not a great place. We'll both make some money. But that speaks volumes about the confidence organizations have in their own culture to say, this is the culture that we have. This is good. And when people refer, they take those references seriously because they're coming in. The referrals are not coming for the money for the referral, but coming in because the employees believe that this is a good place to work. And no better advertising than that. That's always the case.
And there is a metrics which an organization can measure without money. If referrals are coming, people are referring, you are a good place.